Welcome and thanks for joining us. I'm talking today with attorney Martin Crump with the law firm Davis and Crump. And we're talking about the little blue pill. You've probably heard about it. But Martin, what would you consider this a blockbuster drug?
Absolutely, Bill. I think that in the first year that Viagra was introduced to the market, there was 2.7 million prescriptions. It saw a 38% increase in Pfizer's revenue during that year. In recent years, in 2014, 1.7 million prescriptions were written for the drug. In the top grossing years, Pfizer is actually grossing around $2 billion from the sale of this drug. And they pretty much maintain their market share. They have a 40% market share as an estimate across the board. So these potential problems associated with the drug could be kind of a perfect storm for a huge lawsuit.
Now, problems. I haven't heard too many problems about Viagra. What kind of problems are we talking about?
We're talking about the link of Viagra and that class of drugs with the skin cancer melanoma. And although melanoma is a less common skin cancer, 75% of all skin cancer deaths relate to melanoma. And when I say less common, there's about 76,000 cases of melanoma diagnosed in this country each year. And in that, of that 76,000, as those years culminate, you have about 10,000 deaths per year in this country related to melanoma.
Well, certainly you think about melanoma and skin cancer with sun exposure, but how did the link between melanoma and Viagra come to be?
Well, there was a Journal of American Medicine article, JAMA article, that studied 26,000 men over a period of 10 years that found that there was an 84% increase for the melanoma occurrences for those who had taken the drug Viagra.
You mentioned there are other drugs in this same class that are associated with melanoma too. What drugs are those?
There are. Cialis and Levitra are the main ones. Right now in the litigation, this type of litigation as normally occurs, the building block of the litigation is actually the science or the studies in which the injuries are linked to the drug. In this particular case, the links there haven't been any particular studies related to Cialis and Levitra, but because the drugs actually work in a very similar manner, it's anticipated that eventually studies will link those drugs to melanoma as well.
And those studies are ongoing, I assume.
There are a number of ongoing studies pertaining to Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, that we hope will add the scientific confidence to this litigation. Recently, there was actually a study in Germany that came out as recent as March of this year, in which the mechanism of action that was actually suspected, or how this drug causes melanoma, that mechanism of action was confirmed by the scientific study out of Germany. And it's very similar to that of the hormone replacement therapy litigation that occurred several years ago, where you have the presence of these abnormal cells and you add these actual drugs, the sildenafil, to the systems which are, or actions which are occurring in the body. And at that point in time, it's like pouring water and fertilizer on a plant. So not only do the cells the growth speeds up and it begins to spread more, in that it becomes invasive, which in a cancer like melanoma, it's deadly enough without adding fuel to the fire.
Well, with regard to the link between melanoma and Viagra, certainly some litigation going on now. How is your firm involved in that litigation?
Well, this is a new litigation, so the litigation has been recently formed. The cases are being centralized in the Northern District of California. There's a status conference actually set for this next month, in which we anticipate that our firm will be appointed as a member of the executive committee. which controls and oversees and makes day-to-day decisions relative to how the litigation progresses, what discovery is done, and what cases are set for trial.
So if people believe that they've been affected by Viagra or injured in some way, how do they get involved?
Well, if you have taken the drug Viagra and you've been diagnosed with melanoma, I would encourage you to contact our firm so that we can get your information and begin the process of the retrieval of the medical records necessary and relevant to pursue the lawsuit and eventually get your case filed and hopefully at the end of the day have the claim settled.
Some information about Viagra and its link to melanoma. And that's attorney Martin Crump with the law firm Davis & Crump. Thanks for watching.